Have you ever wondered why some people smell a little funky after a workout, even when they shower every day? Is it just sweat or is something sneakier going on under our arms? Today, we're zooming in on the real reason behind that stinky, winky body odor, and trust us, it's not what you think. Hey there, bright stars. It's always a joy having you here, like a warm hug through the screen. Whether you're curious, giggly, or just love learning cool stuff, you're in the right place. Before you dive into the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. Your support helps us create more valuable videos tailored just for you. Now that we've opened the lid on the mystery of body odor, let's take a step back and understand sweat itself. It's easy to assume that sweat is the villain behind the unpleasant smell. But here's a surprising fact: sweat alone doesn't actually stink. Our bodies contain millions of sweat glands, which serve the important purpose of regulating our temperature. As we age, we might feel that we're sweating either more or less than we used to, and that's normal. In fact, seniors often experience changes in how their body produces sweat due to shifts in hormone levels, metabolic rate, and even medications. But regardless of age, the type of sweat gland matters far more when it comes to odor. There are two main types of sweat glands that influence this process. Eccrine glands, which are active from birth and found all over your body. They produce a watery sweat that's mostly made up of salt and water. This type of sweat is meant to cool you down and doesn't produce odor. Apocrine glands, which become active during puberty and are concentrated in areas like your armpits and groin. These glands release a thicker type of sweat containing proteins and fats. Now here's the catch. This protein-rich sweat from apocrine glands is actually odorless when it leaves the body. So, where does the smell come from? The real culprit is bacteria living on our skin. These microbes feed on the fats and proteins in apocrine sweat and break them down, releasing smelly compounds in the process. That's what gives rise to body odor, not the sweat itself. Understanding this small but crucial detail empowers us to make smarter choices about hygiene and daily care, especially as our bodies continue to change with age. Up next, let's explore how these bacteria interact with our skin and why some people smell stronger than others. Now that we've uncovered the surprising truth that sweat itself doesn't smell, it's time to dive deeper into what we commonly call body odor. For many older adults, noticing a stronger or different body smell can feel alarming, but rest assured, it's often a normal part of aging. Body odor, medically known as bromhidrosis, is a result of the interaction between sweat, particularly from the apocrine glands, and bacteria that live naturally on the skin. As we age, several factors may change the way our body odor develops. Hormonal shifts, a slower metabolism, certain medications, and even changes in diet or mobility can all influence our scent. You may find that body odor becomes more noticeable after reaching your 60s or 70s. This is partly because the skin's lipid composition changes, which can create a more favorable environment for odor-producing bacteria. Additionally, reduced daily movement or limited access to bathing routines due to health issues can contribute to the buildup of sweat and bacteria. But here's something important to remember: body odor is not a reflection of cleanliness or self-worth. It's a complex biological process that every human experiences. For seniors, being aware of the causes is the first empowering step toward managing it comfortably and confidently. Up next, we'll take a closer look at the types of bacteria involved and how they transform harmless sweat into something smellier, and what you can do to prevent it naturally. Now that we've established that body odor is a common and often natural part of aging, Let's break down exactly what it is and why it happens. Despite being socially uncomfortable, body odor is simply the result of a biological reaction happening right on your skin. The main source of body odor is not the sweat itself, but what happens after the sweat is released. Specifically, sweat from the apocrine glands found in areas like the underarms and groin contains proteins and fats. These are the perfect meal for certain types of bacteria that live on the skin. When these bacteria consume the sweat's compounds, they break them down into smaller molecules, which in turn release that distinct smell we associate with body odor. In seniors, the smell might change or become more noticeable due to skin pH changes, medications, or reduced bathing frequency. It's important to know that body odor is not a sign of poor hygiene alone many times. It's a combination of natural body processes and skin microbiota activity. Interestingly, research also shows that certain medical conditions, such as diabetes or liver dysfunction, may influence the type of odor produced. That's why being mindful of new or unusual body odors is also an important part of health awareness in older age. In the next section, we'll explore which everyday habits and hygiene practices can help manage or reduce body odor without harsh chemicals or discomfort. Now that we've uncovered how body odor results from the interaction between sweat and bacteria, it's helpful to understand where this sweat comes from. The body has millions of sweat glands, and they fall into three main types: acrine glands, apocrine glands, and sebaceous glands, each playing a unique role. Acrine glands are the most widespread, found all over the body. These glands produce a clear, watery sweat, mostly made up of water and salt, to help regulate body temperature. This type of sweat typically does not contribute to body odor. Apocrine glands, however, are a different story. These are found mainly in the armpits, groin, and around hair follicles, and they become active during puberty. Apocrine glands release a thicker, milky sweat that contains proteins and fats, which bacteria love to feed on. This is the type of sweat most closely linked to body odor. Lastly, sebaceous glands produce oils rather than sweat and help keep the skin soft. Though they don't contribute directly to body odor, they do influence the skin's environment and can affect how sweat and bacteria behave. As we age, gland activity may shift, and sweat production can decrease, but apocrine glands still remain active. That's why, even if you feel you sweat less than in your youth, you may still notice occasional odor. Understanding which glands are responsible helps you take more precise steps to reduce discomfort naturally and confidently. Up next, we'll dive into the role bacteria play in this entire process. Following our exploration of sweat glands, especially the apocrine glands that produce protein-rich sweat, we now arrive at the real culprit behind body odor: bacteria. While sweat itself is odorless, it becomes smelly only when it encounters the microscopic world living on our skin. Our skin is home to millions of bacteria, many of which are completely harmless and even beneficial. However, certain bacteria, particularly those living in moist, warm areas like the armpits and groin, love to feast on the proteins and fats found in apocrine sweat. When they break down these compounds, they release volatile organic compounds, VOCs. These are the smelly substances that create the familiar odor. As we age, changes in skin structure, immune function, and personal hygiene habits may create an environment where these odor-producing bacteria thrive more easily. In fact, some research suggests that aging skin produces nonenal, a compound with a greasy, grassy scent often associated with old age smell. This isn't caused by poor hygiene, but by natural chemical changes in the skin's oils. It's important to recognize that body odor isn't a failure of cleanliness. It's a natural process influenced by biology and age. The good news is, with proper knowledge and simple habits, managing this odor is completely achievable. In the next section, we'll talk about effective hygiene practices and practical tips to control body odor, gently and safely tailored specifically for older adults. Now that we understand how bacteria interact with apocrine sweat to produce body odor, let's shift our focus to what can be done about it without harsh products or complicated routines. For older adults, body odor can often be managed effectively with just a few simple daily habits. First and foremost, regular bathing is key. Using a gentle moisturizing soap once a day, especially under the arms, around the groin, and under skin folds can help reduce the buildup of sweat and bacteria. If bathing daily is difficult due to mobility issues, cleansing wipes or sponge baths can serve as helpful alternatives. Pay special attention to areas that trap moisture. Keeping skin dry, especially after bathing, is essential. Lightly pat the skin dry with a soft towel and use breathable fabrics like cotton to allow airflow and reduce moisture buildup throughout the day. Using a deodorant or antiperspirant can also help. Deodorants neutralize smell, while antiperspirants reduce sweat. For sensitive skin, aluminum-free or fragrance-free options are often more suitable. Additionally, trimming underarm hair can reduce odor, as hair holds moisture and bacteria. Maintaining a healthy diet, staying hydrated, and avoiding overly processed foods can also support better body chemistry from the inside out. Most importantly, be gentle with yourself. Body odor is natural, and managing it is not about perfection. It's about comfort, confidence, and care. Up next, we'll explore when body odor might signal something more, and why it's wise to stay aware of new or unusual changes. After establishing practical ways to manage body odor through hygiene and self-care, it's important to recognize that not all changes in body odor are harmless. Sometimes a sudden shift in how your body smells could be your body's way of alerting you to an underlying health issue, especially in your senior years. For example, a sweet or fruity odor may be associated with uncontrolled diabetes, particularly in cases of diabetic ketoacidosis. A strong ammonia-like scent might indicate kidney or liver dysfunction, where waste is not being efficiently filtered from the body. In other cases, infections of the skin, wounds, or even urinary tract can also create unusual or offensive odors. Another common but often overlooked factor is medication. Certain prescriptions or supplements may cause body chemistry to shift, altering your natural scent. This could also happen if your body's having difficulty metabolizing a drug properly, which becomes more common with age. That's why it's wise to stay attentive. If you notice a new, persistent, or unusual body odor that doesn't improve with normal hygiene or changes in routine, it may be time to speak with your healthcare provider. Trust your instincts. You know your body better than anyone else. To lighten things up, let's explore a few fascinating facts about sweating that might surprise you and help you appreciate just how unique the human body is. Did you know that men sweat about 40% more than women? It's not because men are necessarily more active, but because their bodies are wired differently when it comes to temperature regulation. Men tend to have a higher muscle mass, which generates more heat, prompting the body to produce more sweat to cool down. Women, on the other hand, often have more efficient heat dissipation, meaning they don't need to sweat as much to stay cool. And what about our furry companions? Unlike us, dogs and cats don't sweat through their skin. Instead, they rely on panting to regulate their body temperature. When they breathe rapidly, moisture evaporates from their tongues and respiratory tract, helping them cool down. These little details remind us that sweating is a clever, built-in survival mechanism and a sign that your body is doing its job, no matter your age. One of the most valuable lessons from understanding body odor is that our bodies are always speaking to us, even through the subtlest signs. As we age, we may notice changes in how we feel, how we move, or even how we smell, and these shifts aren't something to fear or hide. Instead, they're gentle reminders that we're evolving. And with that evolution comes the responsibility to listen and respond with care. Body odor isn't just a matter of hygiene, it can be a mirror reflecting our health, habits, and inner balance. Recognizing these signs, taking small steps toward better care, and remaining curious rather than embarrassed is an act of self-respect. Aging is not about decline, it's about awareness, adaptation, and maintaining dignity through the process. Just as our younger selves learn how to care for a changing body during adolescence, our older selves can do the same in this new phase of life. In every stage, the body deserves our attention, patience, and kindness. And most of all, it deserves to be understood, not judged. This awareness becomes a quiet wisdom we carry forward, reminding us that self-care is never vanity. It's a form of self-love. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Please share in the comments one insight you gained and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your feedback is invaluable and keeps us motivated. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. Your support enables us to continue creating content that informs and inspires. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.